Hereby call this regular meeting of the Green Oak Charter Township Planning and Zoning Department Zoning Board of Appeals to order. We will start with the Pledge of the Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have a roll call of the board, please?
Stephen Showerman,
Here.
Sarah Pearsall here, James Yule,
Here.
Dan Ranko.
Here.
We have a quorum. Moving on, number 4, approval of the agenda. Will entertain any motions to change the agenda?
So moved.
Second? We have an adjustment.
First, we have to change it. Now we can make a motion to change it.
So we need a motion to make the change.
I would like to make a motion to change the agendas under section 7, old business. We are striking that from the agenda today.
Item 8, correct?
Item 8, yes.
Do we have a second?
Here.
All in favor, voice vote, aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Item 8 is stricken from the agenda. Is the agenda approved then as written without item 8? Or is that part of the motion?
No, you have to make one now.
Okay, so we'll entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. The modified agenda is approved. Item 8 is removed. Moving on to the March 18th, 2025 meeting minutes. We'll entertain a motion to approve or amend.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. March 18th, 2025 meeting minutes are approved. Moving on to item number 6, which is ZBA case 04-2025 for parcel number 4716-13-300-010, which is located at 8585 Pier Road, South Lyon, Michigan, 48178, requesting a variance from section 38-1713 to allow for a detached accessory structure that exceeds 50% of the total floor area. We'll begin with the applicant's presentation of the case for a maximum of 10 minutes. If you could approach the table, identify yourself and your address, and present your case.
Hello, I'm William Heckman. I live at 8585 Pier Road. Because of the circumstances of my property, I have a big, basically rectangle for a property. It's 125 feet across by 500 feet deep. It doesn't give me a lot of opportunity to build onto my existing home. So I would like to build a 30 by 40 pole barn in the back half of the property. And that way I could use the property a little more. The back part of the property has been overgrown, so I'd like to use it to be able to have a pole barn, be able to store vehicles that I have and stuff like that. We're not talking about too much over. I do understand that the lean-to that I proposed on counts as part of the square footage. I don't know how much more it adds onto it, but the 40 by 30 makes it about 120 square feet more than my house half size is, 50%. So I'm really looking to get the 40 by 30 approved. The lean-to, if I could, I don't know what, like I said, how much that actually added to the square footage. I didn't know when I made the plan that that's what it would be. But if I could get the lean-to in also, I would appreciate that. Like I said, because of the size of our house and the layout on the property, I just can't build a pole barn on to existing. We have the septic field in the back, we have mature trees on the side. We really don't have a lot of room on the side of the house going back. So that's why I'm looking to build a pole barn in the back of the property.
Okay, thank you. If that's the end of the presentation, we can move to the board members questioning the applicant.
Yes, what is your practical difficulty?
We have, I can't build it onto the existing house. So
Right.
that's why I would like to be able to.
I understand that you had some, I don't even want to say topographical, what are they?
Well, yeah.
He's got the wellhead
the wells
and the septic,
field.
yeah.
Septic, and then we have a deck off the back of the house.
Yeah, that would be a hardship, but you want to increase the size of how many ever square feet past what is allowable for you? Why?
I don't really have a great reason for that, other than I do have 3 vehicles that I have as hobby cars. And I'm gonna need room to work around these cars. So a bigger pole barn would allow me to do that. Other than that, I have no other reason.
You're not thinking of running a commercial business out of this?
Oh, no. This is just for my hobby, my home hobby.
And you're asking for 1,500 square feet.
Well, I think that's because of the lean-to.
Correct. The lean-to is considered part of the structure, is the overall
Okay,
structure.
And the lean-to is 12 by 30,
Yes.
Yeah.
it'd be 360 square feet.
okay.
So without the lean-to, it's a 30 by 40, which is 1,200 square feet.
Right.
Right,
And the allowed based on the size of the home is 1077. according to-
1077, so you're still 130 square feet over.
more.
And there's no reason you can cut that down 130 square feet?
Well, I could.
I mean, do you have a hardship that makes you not be able to do that?
What are the, like, the normal dimensions of the next dimension would be like a lot smaller, I think, is the way the pole barns are usually set, right? I
You
mean,
can build them customized, but it just is a standard size that I think would, I don't really have a hardship.
Being a car nut myself, I know that you never have enough space.
Right.
Right.
I just,
I mean, obviously, I would go much bigger if I could, but I thought a 30 by 40 would be appropriate for the size that we were talking about, the land and the house size.
Do you have any other equipment that you store outside because of the size of your
I
current
do, we
garage?
have lawn equipment and stuff like that that we store outside that I would like to get inside. We have some kayaks and stuff like that.
Okay, so
are stored
basically, what you're saying is if this pole barn up, you could kind of hide that?
Oh, I could definitely clean up the area around my garage at the moment, yes.
so you can't, because you're getting a prefab pole barn or whatever, it has to come down a whole bunch, you can't just say, build it this big?
I think you can have a custom pole barn built, yeah. You could probably go with size. I'm not sure what size I'd have to go down to get within the range that you're looking for. I think a 27 by 40 might work. But obviously, like Daniel said, I would like to get as big as possible if I could. The lean-to is not important. I mean, it's nice to have. It would be used as like a porch, if you will, not really for any storage reason. It's just aesthetic for me.
So you,
Yeah, it would kind of match what my house has right now. We have a porch in the front of the house that's kind of the same.
The fact is, it's so far back,
You can't really see it.
You wouldn't be
Nobody
able
It
to
is
see
really far back and you can't see it, and it's not going to affect anyone else. I'm just concerned that it's too big.
in the pictures that you included, the site looks like there's a fence, is that your backyard? And then it's on the other side of the fence, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So we would be approximately, I think, 70 feet from the fence, the back of the fence line that you see in that picture. So it'd
Right.
be about 70 feet back from there.
Debbie, have we receive any correspondence from neighbors at all on this? Gentlemen? Any other thoughts?
I guess just the practical difficulty I see is the inability to add on to the house, which would not be
Right,
restricted.
and then I get that, but
But the size
Yes.
is the sticking point.
The layout, you know, the infrastructure.
Yeah, the land. But you're permitted an extra structure. It's just a question of not being able to attach it to your house.
Right, everything would be okay if you could attach it to the house and have a breezeway, but
right. But I understand that is a practical difficulty. Your septic field is,
So
Yeah.
you'll have your.
my front yard is the same way, so,
Right, and you can't build off the front of the house, I mean, you
no.
just wouldn't be
You get a wellhead there anyways.
I can't even plant a tree. but-
The back of your house, the property goes right down. Yeah.
It's a
It
walkout,
does.
yeah.
It's a walkout back there.
Just for the purposes of sharing with the board, 27 by 40, as you mentioned, would be 1,080, so it's a whole 3 feet over the limit.
Yeah, that would be,
That's, yeah.
A 30 by 45, or, I'm sorry, 30, like, I guess it depends on how many bays for vehicles and equipment you're looking to do, but I think it was a
There's 2 bays. And then
35
had-
by 30 would have been within the restrictions as well. That's 1,050 square feet. Any further questions?
Are you guys gonna open the public hearing?
That'll be next, yeah.
Okay.
So if there's no further questions from the board?
Nope.
We'll open the public hearing, maximum of 3 minutes to individuals or 5 minutes to a group representative. If you wish to speak, please come to the podium there. Identify yourself and share.
the podium, sir?
Right there behind you,
Sir,
sir.
the podium.
Good evening, my name is Hal Wolf,
Could you give your address too, please?
13060, 12 Mile Road, South Lyon. So I'm around the corner from this property in question. That's a big building these folks want, and according to my math, they can reduce the depth by approximately 14 feet and be within existing guidelines of the 1,077? Yeah. Can I just show this gentleman something? This is from the website. This is the drawing of the garage, the post layout. I just made that 49.9, 36.2, and you're right inside the limit. So he can reduce the depth. I don't know which is north or which direction that thing faces.
Okay, this would be the north side. This is the porch area, I think. So,
I gotcha.
all right, so what, I'm sorry, you're saying instead of going 30?
No,
Or 29?
you keep, maintain the width, and instead of the 49.9, if you took it down to 36, that's the exact math. It puts you right there,
Okay,
you know.
but
not even a half a square foot.
that would be including the lean-to, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm not gonna be pushing too hard to get lean-to. So I'd rather have the building itself, the size, and then if I had to deal with, maybe just putting a small awning over the door that's on the side or whatever. And I would do that, but,
Can you take 4 feet off of the depth of the garage without the lean-to? Then you'd be within the limits of the township. I mean, that's just how the math works out.
okay, so I'm not 36, so you're saying 4 feet off the side of it here by 29.9?
Yeah, you maintain that dimension.
Yeah. I see what you're saying, I understand it. And I totally could do this, but I'm asking if I could get
Yeah, you want to make it
I
bigger.
would make it as big as I can. And
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good suggestion.
Other members of the public wish to speak, please go ahead and approach the podium.
My name is David Matuka. I live at 8525 Pier Road, right at the corner of 12 Mile and Pier. And I'm 2 houses down from, or 2 houses north of that property. So my concern is about the size of the building, because there's a number of buildings that have been built in the area that are pretty big. And I have to say that I like your question about whether a commercial business would go inside, because a mile south of me on Pure is somebody with a big barn building, and they do run a commercial business out of it. And I don't think that's in keeping with what the township had expected. And I was surprised to not see the people who live adjacent to that property. But I was reading the introduction to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and it says the zoning regulates the use of the land. It is a tool to implement the master plan and ensure that the land uses are compatible, protect natural resources and property values. And so when you start getting these big buildings in what is a low-density residential area, low-density residential area, that seems to kind of undermine the intent of the zoning. And so I'm in favor, if they can make something smaller, then I think that would be a better outcome than having the bigger one. Thank you.
Seeing no other members of the public, we will close the public hearing. Another 2 minutes are allowed for any rebuttal or additional comments from the applicant.
I do not intend to use this as a commercial property. This is just personal use. So, take that off the table, I guess. I'm not going to be using that to do any business out of it. I'm not a business person. I go to the job 7 to 4 every day, and that's it. So, like I said, just would like as much space as I can to work on my cars, my personal stuff. So that's the whole reason for the larger size, I guess.
Thank you. At this point, any further comments from the board, or we are at the point where we can render a decision?
The canopy, or the
To lean-to.
lean-to that he wants to put on there could easily, like you said, an awning could be put up and serve the same purpose as that. And I know myself that you subtract 4 feet from an area. You said you got 3 cars in there now.
I have
Well, you'll have 3 cars you put in there. And I find it pushed back so far that my inclination is to go with the pole barn as measured without the lean-to.
Be a compromise, we don't,
Well, you know that when we make grant a variance, it goes with the land forever.
I understand that, yeah.
And, yeah, it goes,
So, I'm sorry, what does that mean then? I mean, I'm not going to build any more structures on
that means if you leave
Yeah.
and maybe, or you decide you don't want the barn anymore or whatever, anybody can come in there and make a barn that size all the time.
No, if they have 1 year, if they don't build it within 1 year, the
Oh, that's true. If you don't build it within 1 year, then, yeah.
Okay.
If I could, a point of clarification to ask, we talked about adjusting the size of it, and there's many different ways you could mess with that dimension to get it down below the 1,077 square feet. But you're talking about a prefab pole barn, correct?
Yeah, Chelsea Lumber has it already planned out, so that's why.
Oh, it's just what they've quoted you out on it?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm going to say, if there's a significant difference in cost by not going with prefab, if you were going with prefab, I could see that as a practical difficulty, or at least a reason as to why to
Yeah,
stick
I'm
to the
not sure if
size.
they're prefabbed or not. I just know that you tell them the dimensions and they give you a plan for it.
I have 3 cars in my garage that's 36 feet wide, and I don't work on them very much, but there is room for 3 cars in that kind of space. So I question whether the 40 feet is
It's necessary.
fully necessary, or the 30 feet, mine isn't 30 feet deep either. So at this point, we either have to send it back or render a decision.
I'll make a motion to approve the expansion of the pole barn minus the lean-to with the dimensions described. The submittant has claimed that there is practical difficulty with the location of the septic fields, the well, the position on the house, and the land, the grading of the land, that leads him to be able to put it back as far as he's got it right there.
Is there a second to that?
I'll
motion?
second.
The roll call vote?
Steve Showerman,
No.
James Yule,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Red Cole, sorry. Sarah Pearsall, no.
I don't think we ever had an even number of folks here when I've been here.
Doesn't pass.
It means,
It's not rejected or accepted?
No, but they can,
Flip a
go
coin.
to the next
yep,
Pardon?
meeting, and if you have a full quorum, and if the vote goes the other way, you just hear it at the next meeting.
right.
So do they have to resubmit for a variance, or just it gets bumped to the
No,
next
they
meeting
can
when we
come
have?
back.
an
Because
odd
we
number?
don't have a full quorum, they get a break.
So with that said, is not accepted or rejected, it has to move to the next meeting to get a full quorum because we're split even between 2 and 2.
Okay.
And the next meeting, Deb, is in July.
I think 18th. It's the third Tuesday in July.
We'll be back.
And it may be worth,
You might want to
Other
look at
options are
it a
available.
little more.
with Chelsea Lumber.
Okay. So what's the square footage that I need to get down to, I guess, is what I'm asking?
1,077, based on the square footage of your house, is the
Like I
max.
said, with the 27 by 30, we were, I think you said 3 feet over?
27 by 30,
I'm sorry,
3
27
feet,
by 40.
27 by 40.
it,
40.
that would
Yes,
be
that's 3 feet over.
80. That's a more reasonable variance, but, yeah, you may want to, it'll give you time to look into,
All right, I can't propose that now, and
talk to Chelsea.
we have to wait until July.
You can inform Debbie of what your decision is on that.
Okay.
Honestly, if you went 3 feet, or 3 feet 1 inch, you're probably going to fall below that within the variance, or without the need to have a variance. Or 27 feet, 11 inches, I'm not going to do the math in my head there, but 1
No,
inch
I
times
was-
40. That's more than 3 feet. So it depends on what Chelsea Lumber can do with you, but if you end up within that 1077, so 27 by 30 minus 1 inch of the long dimension, you end up well within by a foot, I think, of the 1077. It's unfortunate that that's what it's based on. I've run into a similar problem with it. It has to be based on the size of the house.
Okay.
So if you did that, you could apply for the building permit again, and you wouldn't have this variance requirement because you'd be within that particular aspect of it.
I see. But like I said, if I did the 27 by 40, it would be 3 feet over,
Yes.
so I'd still have to be.
That's still technically a variance that would have to come back in July.
Okay. All right, well, I have to think about it, and like you said, talk to Chelsea Lumber and see what we can come up with.
Understood.
Like you said, it still could go through on July at the same size, right?
If it, yeah, it could come through, but it also could be
Okay.
the other direction.
So do they represent another proposal with changing the size, right?
Well, I don't know if that's,
If he changes the size, he wouldn't even have to come back
He
here.
wouldn't have to come back here, we already made a vote and stuff, we tied it. He needs to talk to Debbie and Chelsea Lumber and see what can happen.
You know what I'm saying? Do they have to present a proposal with a new size? Probably wouldn't have to, would they? Because they fall within the
If they
parameter.
fall within the
If it
parameters.
falls
If
within
it's
the
there,
Yeah, it wouldn't
there's
have to come back.
3
So
feet,
we
1
didn't-
inch is all we're talking about at that point, without the lean-to.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Alrighty, item 7, new business. I don't believe there's any new business before the board.
No.
No. Any correspondence? None? Call the public. If any further comments are to be made by the public at this time, please approach the podium. As no one is approaching, we will close the call to the public and entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.